So I kept hearing, tell Joe he has to run. We need him. That's what people said to me in the nail salon, at grocery stores and restaurants, at airports, over and over again in the months leading up to this campaign. They missed Joe's statesmanship, his ability to find common ground on hard things. They missed his diplomacy and his deep experience working with our allies around the world. They missed his courage and his decency. Because you asked him, he ran. From day one, that's what this has all been about. You, not Joe, not me, not Kamala, not Doug. It's been about you and every American who is desperate for leadership, for kindness, for unity. And so here we are, back in the state where we started it all, a short drive from my hometown. You know, I never would have imagined all those months ago that I'd be speaking at a car rally today. But we can be safe and get out the vote, right? Isn't that right, Pittsburgh? And Philly, I see you too. During this campaign, Americans, you have shown me your hearts. Like the educator who said to me, the two most important things in the roles in my life are being a school counselor and being a mom. And right now, I feel like I'm failing at both. Like the nurse who helped a family say goodbye to their grandma over the phone because they couldn't be there to hear her last words. Like the factory worker who told me he was about to lose his job with about 150 of his colleagues. He said, Jill, I'm 50 years old and I'm gonna have to start over. I don't know what to do. Even against the odds, the resilience of our community shines through. And I'm so grateful that you have entrusted me with your stories. I've kept them with me, and they remind us every day why Joe is running. You know, so many of you have asked me, you know, if we're exhausted, if we're ready to be done. My answer is no. No, we're not exhausted. We are ready to get to work. Democrats and Republicans, rural and urban, north to south and coast to coast, you have reminded me that our nation is much stronger than the challenges that we face, that there is nothing we can't do when we come together with courage and grit. We know what Donald Trump loves, himself. Nothing more, nothing less. And he wants us to believe that we are the same, divided, hateful, angry, selfish. But tomorrow, we are going to show him who we are. A country that believes in justice. We want a country where everyone has the chance to succeed, that believes in democracy. We want our voices and our votes to count. A country united. We don't agree on everything, and we don't have to, but we can still respect one another, can't we? Compassion compassion, fairness, faith in each other. That's what this election is about. Your values are Joe's values, and he will be a president for all Americans. We are here today because so many of you asked Joe to run. And now I'm asking you, will you stand with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris? Joe is fighting every day for you, and when we come together, everything is possible. So are you ready to vote? Are you ready to win? Are you ready to tell Donald Trump, you're fired? America, thank you for your faith in an idea that's bigger than all of us. And that is, we will build a better nation because we are going to do this together. So are you ready to, and are we ready? Okay, let's go get this done.
important to me. When I look at the opportunity to vote in, they say that this election is a battle of the soul of the nation. When we have an opportunity tomorrow to put more soul into our nation, that means a lot to me. My wife and I had the responsibility of training up our children the way they should go. But that can't be done alone because it takes a village to raise a family. One of the things I want you guys to know is that when my daughter had a chance to watch Kamala Harris at a vice presidential debate, she became an additional role model for my daughter. Let me tell you why. She handled that vice presidential debate with grace. If it's anybody that I want my daughter quoting, I want my daughter quoting Kamala and not Cardi. Excuse me, Mr. Vice President, I'm talking. When I look at the opportunity we have tomorrow and when we win, it will empower not just my children, but your children to dream bigger and to walk taller because of having inspirational individuals in office. Individuals who are connected, individuals who have heart, who understand the struggles that we all go through as citizens within Pennsylvania, as citizens within America. When I look at the opportunity to vote elected officials in office, because it's not just the presidential election that we're looking at. We're looking at the presidential election and everybody else that's on the ballot. I'm going to give you an example. I want everybody to think about the government is just like any sports team. We cannot just have our star players. We need them. We need Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. But we also need to make sure that we have every other role player that's elected by us to be a part of that winning team. So I don't want you to forget, we do need our stars, but it's an opportunity to vote. You have an opportunity to vote for the rest of the team that's needed for us to win. Pennsylvania, we are a first-class state with first-class citizens. I need us to show up tomorrow in drones and show the rest of America how we can blow Trump out the water with a blowout. It ain't gonna be close. We need to be leaders in this blowout. I want everybody to understand what we're going to do. We're putting in leaders in the White House who are connected so that we can have allies in the White House. We can have individuals who have plans to support Black and brown businesses in office. We'll have individuals who have plans to protect our health care in office. We have individuals in office that have plans to support HBCUs. What I need from all of us is to get out to vote. I need from all of us to tell others to get out to vote. I need all of us to make sure that everyone that we know is charged up with the right information and making the right decisions, put the right people in office so that we can truly win. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been given the privilege to introduce our new vice president. Can everyone give a round of applause for our new vice president, Kamala Harris?
Hello, Pennsylvania. Are you ready? Joe's here. Jill's here. Doug's here. You are here. We are here. And we are here to bring this election home. But we got one more day. That is it, one more day. And I'll tell you, Joe and I are just so grateful for your support, for your prayers, for your love, for your time, volunteering, making calls, for your trust in us, and for your vote. And as we head into tomorrow, I know we are empowered. We are optimistic about our future. We know the strength of unity. We know the strength of America. You know, when Joe asked me to join this ticket, saying yes was an easy decision. He and I, we come from different backgrounds, but we were raised with the same values: hard work, honesty, decency, a belief that we all have a responsibility to look out for one another. And those are the values I've seen as I've traveled across our country over the past 84 days. The values we share as Americans. Across our country, you can feel that something is happening. In big cities and small towns, wearing masks and socially distancing, I have seen people lining the streets and gathering on corners to show their support. They're bringing the children, holding up signs, wearing their colors, and strolling to the polls. And waving the red, white, and blue. The energy out there is real, and it is inspiring. In this battle for the very soul of our nation, we have seen what can be, unburdened by what has been. We have seen who we are, and a willingness to fight for the country we love. And that is why I know that tomorrow we are going to elect Joe Biden, the next president of the United States of America. So, while we're on the subject, tell me, how many of you have already voted? Oh. Honk if you voted. And if you haven't voted, go to iwillvote.com and find out when and where you can vote tomorrow, because there is still almost 24 hours that we have got to get this done. And honk if you have been sending texts and making calls to get out the vote. Because we all know from the time the polls open tomorrow morning until they close, every minute counts. So we cannot let up, because it ain't over till it's over. And everything is at stake. Our health, our economy, our children's futures. A woman's right to make decisions about her own body. A criminal justice system that treats all people with dignity and equally under the law. A Supreme Court that advances the legacy of Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That lives up to the phrase above its entrance, equal justice under law. The kind of country we want to be. That's what's at stake. It is all on the line. This is the most consequential election of our lifetimes. And the decision we make will, without any question, last for generations. And I'll tell you, as I travel around, one of the biggest issues on everyone's mind is the pandemic that is ravaging our country. And remember, back in January, Donald Trump knew just how bad the coronavirus was, that it was deadly and airborne. But what did he do with that information? He looked straight into the cameras at the American people and lied about it. He covered it up. Now, can you imagine what you would have done if you had known on January 28th what he knew? What you might have done, what your family might have done to prepare? Can you imagine how our businesses, how our schools might have been able to prepare? How we as a country might have been able to prepare? But Donald Trump doesn't think about what's best for America. He only thinks about what is best for himself. And as a result, we have lost 230,000 lives to COVID. So many people forced to die alone because of the nature of this virus. 230,000 Americans. The last time we experienced loss like this was World War II. In addition, we're looking at over 9 million people who have contracted the virus, and we know it's hitting communities of color the hardest. Latinos are contracting COVID at 3 times the rate of others. Black folks are dying at twice the rate of others. And let's be clear, we are also in the worst economic crisis we have faced since the Great Depression, because Donald Trump failed to contain this virus. He failed to lead. 23 million people are receiving unemployment. 1 in 5 mothers with a child under the age of 12 is describing her children as being hungry in America. In 1 in 6 households, folks are behind on their rent and concerned they may not be able to pay rent. 1 in 4 small businesses have closed. And yet, 9 months into this pandemic, this president still doesn't have a plan to contain it. We have witnessed the greatest failure of a presidential administration in America's history. on top of it all, President Trump is in court right now trying to end the Affordable Care Act and take health coverage away from over 20 million Americans. He's trying to end protections for the over 100 million Americans with pre-existing conditions. Conditions like asthma, diabetes, high blood pressure, or cancer. Honk, if you know somebody, raise your hand if you know somebody with diabetes, or high blood pressure, or asthma, or breast cancer. Because this fight includes a fight for them. America, we cannot afford 4 more years of Donald Trump. And the first thing Joe and I will do when we are in the White House is get this virus under control. We will listen to the scientists and public health experts. We will provide free testing and treatment, and when it is available, a safe vaccine for all. We will provide schools with the guidance and resources they need to reopen safely, and we will build back an economy that actually works for working people. And let me be clear, Joe and I will not increase taxes on anyone making under $400,000 a year, period. But we will ask the super wealthy and biggest corporations to pay their fair share. And we'll invest those tax dollars to rebuild our nation's infrastructure, to tackle the climate crisis and create millions of good-paying union jobs, make childcare more affordable, and invest in our nation's schools and in our nation's teachers. We will build on Obamacare and expand access to health care to tens of millions of Americans, including expanding mental health care, because we understand the body doesn't just start from the neck down, it includes the neck up, and it deserves the health care that all people need. And we will lower prescription drug costs and protect and expand Medicare and Social Security. And we will work to root out the systemic racism that still exists in our criminal justice system. And we will confront, not condone, white supremacy. And fight for economic justice, no matter your zip code or your race. In Pennsylvania, we will begin the work of healing and repairing and uniting our nation, Democrats and Republicans and independents and people of all races and all backgrounds. Because we know that's how we've always overcome our greatest challenges, together. And you know, Joe gets that. Joe understands that. You see, Joe is a leader who understands what the American people are going through. He sees us, and he understands suffering because he has experienced so much of it himself. Joe Biden is a leader of both strength and empathy, toughness and humility. He understands that the measure of a person's strength is not based on who you put down, it's measured based on who you lift up. And he knows that no matter where we come from or where we live, no matter your race, gender, background, or faith, no matter how we identify or who we love, no matter the language your grandmother speaks, what we have in common is so much stronger than what divides us. And that is the kind of leader America needs right now. And that is why, Pennsylvania, we must win this election. So remember this, your vote is your voice, and your voice is your power. And don't let anyone ever take your power from you. Now is the time to stand up. Now is the time to speak out. And now is the time to vote, and vote like our lives depend on it, because they do. So our democracy is always going to be as strong, America. Our democracy is always going to be as strong as our willingness to fight for it. And in this election, let's vote like our democracy depends on it. Vote like justice, equality, and opportunity, decency, character, and dignity are on the ballot, because they are. And one day, our children and our grandchildren and others, they will look us in the eye, each one of us, and they will ask us, what did you do at that moment? And I want to be able to say, we did everything we could to fight for our country and their future. So let's do that. Let's vote. And vote with conviction and confidence and hope. And let's elect Joe Biden, the next president of the United States. Thank you. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
Union strong here in Pittsburgh. I'm a business agent at Labor's Local 1058, where I've been a proud member for 11 years. 4 years ago, guys, President Trump promised Western PA he would create jobs. But today, there are 300,000 fewer jobs in the state than when Barack Obama and Joe Biden left office. He campaigned in Western Pennsylvania in 2016, promising major infrastructure made with American steel right here in Pittsburgh, but he never even really tried to deliver. Instead, he spent his time giving tax breaks to Wall Street and the super wealthy while undermining unions and leaving working families behind. And from the highest office in the world, he has fanned the flames of racial tension, putting the lives of so many people that look like me in danger. We cannot go on like this. We cannot stand for a president who thinks it's fine to keep workers down so long as the numbers on the stock market keep going up. We cannot keep waiting to hear what he will say next to deepen the racial division that is in this country. We need to stand up and elect the only candidate in this race who shares the values of working people and will empower us to succeed. That's Joe Biden. Joe understands the struggles that working communities face because Joe is one of us. He's from Pennsylvania. Scranton's not that far away. He grew up in a working class family. The values that Joe learned in Scranton, hard work, toughness, empathy, are the same values that he carried throughout his life as a public servant. And they're the same values that he's going to take with him to the White House. As president, Joe's going to help communities recover from the coronavirus and then put working people in Western PA and across this country at the center of the effort to build back a better economy. He's going to create millions of good-paying jobs. And as president, he will encourage unionization and collective bargaining because he knows that workers and unions, not Wall Street, built this country. Joe is going to work to ensure that all people, regardless of their race, who they love, or what they do for a living, are treated with the equal amount of dignity and respect. We are now a matter of hours away, guys, from the end of this election, and the work that we do tomorrow will determine whether we put a champion for the working class people in office or we continue to be pushed around by President Trump. See, to me, guys, the choice is easy. So tomorrow, let's get a plan, let's go out, and let's vote. And let's vote for Joe Biden. Pittsburgh, help me in welcoming the next president of the United States, Joe Biden.
I'm Jill Biden's husband and Lady Gaga's friend. We go back a while. One thing I wasn't going to say, but I'll say it now. She spent a lot of time helping me with the Violence Against Women Act and helping so many women who needed help. God love you. You're wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Folks, John, thanks, old buddy, for sharing your story. And thanks to Mr. Mayor. I don't know where you are. I can't see out here, but I tell you what, thanks for the passport into town. And thanks for all the speakers we heard tonight, as well as the incredible, as I said, Lady Gaga. I don't know whether you couldn't see, but all my grandkids are over there, Lady Gaga. And when you were singing, they knew every word of every song. They were jumping and moving. I got to get a picture with them. Anyway, my buddy, Congressman Mike Doyle, Governor Tom Wolf, thank you for standing with me and fighting for the dignity of working people. Everyone you've heard from across the state, as well as in Philadelphia, we hear you loud, we hear you clearly. Congressman Boyle has been with me a while. Remarkable, great friend, a friend of his family. We grew up, his dad and I grew up 5 blocks away from one another in Scranton. Bobby Casey, Patti LaBelle and John Legend. My Lord, John, I'm voting for you after I heard that speech you made. Look, and the second future gentleman, Doug. Doug, God love you. You are a good man. And I want to thank the next Vice President of the United States, a woman I am so proud to be running alongside of, Kamala Harris. Look, I know as a Scranton boy and then raised on the border of southern Pennsylvania and Claymont, Delaware, I know it's not always easy to bring western and eastern Pennsylvania together. But you know what? The Steelers got a big win yesterday and the Eagles got a big win last night. So we can both be happy. And folks, I have a feeling we're coming together for a big win tomorrow. My Lord, there's a lot of you out here in this cold night. Thank you. And by the way, in the parking garage, don't jump. I need you. Don't jump. Folks, look. 18 months ago, we kicked off the campaign at Teamsters Local 249 right here in Pittsburgh. I chose Western Pennsylvania for my first stop as a candidate, and now for my last stop before Election Day, because you represent the backbone of this country. Hard-working families. We're asking nothing but a fair shot, an even chance. Ordinary people doing extraordinary things. The qualities that built this country, that created and sustained the middle class. And by the way, as I said twice earlier today, unions built the middle class. Look, we've been through a lot in this country since we announced. America's facing a confluence of crises unlike anything in living memory. We're still in the battle for the soul of America. Decency, honor, respect. Where has it gone with this president? But let me tell you something, folks. Tomorrow's the beginning of a new day. Tomorrow, we can put an end to a presidency that has left hard-working Americans out in the cold. Tomorrow, we can put an end to a presidency that has divided this nation and fanned the flames of hate. Tomorrow, we can put an end to a presidency that has failed to protect this nation. Ladies and gentlemen, millions of Americans have already voted, close to 100 million, and millions more will vote tomorrow. And my message to you is simple. The power to change this country is in your hands. In your hands. I don't care how hard Donald Trump tries. There's nothing that's going to stop the people of this nation from voting. Period. And when America votes, America will be heard. And America's heard. I believe the message will be loud and clear. It's time for Donald Trump to pack his bags and go home. I honest to God believe the vast majority of Americans are done with the chaos, the corruption, the failure, the irresponsibility, the indifference to American lives, the indifference to America's dignity. We've got a lot of work to do. Not division and distraction, but real healing of this country. If you elect me your president, I'm going to heal this country, and we're going to act. We're going to act to get COVID under control beginning on day one. I'll put in action a plan I've been talking about for months. Masking, social distancing, testing, tracing. A plan for full and fair and free distribution of therapeutics and the vaccine when it comes. Imagine where we could be if a president only wore a mask from the beginning instead of mocked it. I can tell you this, as every expert will tell you, we wouldn't have 9 million COVID cases in this nation. We wouldn't have over 230,000 deaths and nearly 100,000 cases nationwide. Just 2 days ago, We wouldn't be facing another 200,000 predicted deaths in the next few months. That's what the experts are telling us. If we don't change, 200,000 more people will die by the end of the year. The president knew in January, as Kamala said, that this virus was deadly, but he hid it from the American people. He knew it was worse than the flu, but he lied to us. He knew it wasn't going to disappear. He kept telling us a miracle was coming. It'd be over by Easter. Last Friday, he had the gall to suggest that America's doctors, who've been in the front lines of this crisis for 9 months, along with the nurses and so many other first responders, he suggested those doctors were falsely inflating the deaths due to COVID because they wanted more money. For God's sake. No, I really mean it. Think about it. Our frontline healthcare workers, they've suffered and sacrificed for 9 months. And this president is questioning their character, their integrity, their commitment to their fellow Americans. It's a disgrace. And last night, Trump went on to say he was going to fire Dr. Fauci. Well, I've got a better idea. Let's fire Trump and I'll hire Fauci. Think about it. Look, Donald Trump has waved the white flag of surrender. Remember, he said, I'm the commander-in-chief and I'm going to fight this fight. Give me a break. He waved the white flag of surrender. I'll never surrender. We're going to beat this virus. We're going to get it under control. And the first step to beating this virus is beating Donald Trump. Folks, well, let me tell you something. Donald Trump keeps telling us what a great jobs president he is. As we say in my faith, bless me, Father, free us, I don't know. Jobs president. Here's the truth. Donald Trump is going to be the first president in 90 years. That's a lot of presidents. The first president in 90 years to finish his term in office with fewer jobs than when he started. An independent analysis, not from some liberal think tank, but by Moody's, a Wall Street firm, projects that my plan will create 7 million more jobs and $1 trillion more economic growth than anything the president has proposed. Folks, we can do this. I'm going to end Trump's tax loopholes and incentivize companies to ship jobs overseas. That's why there's not as many jobs here. And I'm going to add a 10% surtax on any company that ships jobs overseas. But companies who invest in American manufacturing, bring jobs back, we'll give them a 10% tax credit. And by the way, the President of the United States awards about over $600 billion of contracts a year because of everything from building aircraft carriers to all that we do, all the government spends. I promise you this, and it violates no trade agreement. There will be no government contracts given out on my watch that don't make all of their products here in America. The future will be made right here in America, in Pennsylvania. Folks, Trump sees the world from Park Avenue, from Wall Street. That's all he can say. Well, I see it from Scranton, where I grew up. I see it from Pennsylvania and Delaware. Wall Street didn't build this country. Working people built the country. The middle class built the country. And unions built the middle class. My dad used to have an expression. He said, Joey, the only way you can deal with the abuse of power is with power. Well, the only outfit that can deal with the abuse of power of corporate America is union power. That's the only way it can be dealt with. And I warn you all, if I'm elected, You're going to see the most pro-union president in American history sitting in the White House. Look, I believe we should be about rewarding work, not wealth. Under my plan, as Kamala said, if you make less than $400,000, you're not going to pay a penny more in taxes. But finally, the wealthiest among us, the biggest corporations, 91 of which of the Fortune 500 paid zero in income tax, you're going to start paying your fair share. Why? Why should an iron worker, a firefighter, an educator, a nurse pay at a higher tax rate than the super wealthy? Folks, and here's a good one. Why should you be paying more than Donald Trump pays in taxes? New York Times said he paid $750 in taxes one year. And guess what? When they asked him about it a little before that, he said the reason he only paid that is because he was smart. He knew how to game the system. Well, I'm sick of the wealthy guys gaming the system. Most are willing to pay their fair share. But let me tell you, by the way, he loves to talk about corruption. Oh, my Lord. He loves to talk about corruption. And you found out last week, he's the only president I've ever heard of, has a secret bank account in China, where he paid, according to the Times, 50 times more taxes in Beijing than he did in the United States. Folks, as my mother would have said, enough is enough is enough. Look, we're going to have to protect health care as well. Trump and the Republicans for the last 10 years have been trying like the devil to eliminate the health care plan. By the way, because of economic policies and so many companies going out of business, 10 million Americans have already lost their health care. And now Trump and the Republicans, they jammed through a Supreme Court nominee for one overwhelming reason. They want to destroy the Affordable Care Act. And if they get their way, by the way, this is not hyperbole. By the way, guess what's going to happen? 7 days after tomorrow, they're going to be in the Supreme Court arguing to wipe out, root and branch, all of the Affordable Care Act. Well, you can say that again because a lot of people are hurting. I can remember as a kid growing up in Claymont and Wilmington in a 3-bedroom house, nice house, 3-bedroom split-level home with 4 kids and a grandpa. The walls were thin. I can remember one night my dad, I could hear him restless in the room next to us, talking to my mom and asking her the next morning, what's the matter? He said, your dad, we just lost our health insurance. How many people you know staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name are they going to do without health insurance? How many of them are worried like we were when our son came home from Iraq and was lying dying? I wonder what I would have done had they been able to come in but for Obamacare and say, sorry, suffer the last months in the hospital in peace without your insurance. You've outrun your insurance. How many people do you know, and many of you, worry about it? Worry about your kids. Worry about what's happening. Well, if they get their way, 100 million Americans will lose protections for pre-existing conditions, including 5 million Pennsylvanians. It's wrong. It's wrong. Donald Trump, look, folks, being a great consumer of health care, I feel very strongly about this. Donald Trump thinks health care is a privilege. I think it's a right. I'll not only restore health care, I'll build on it. You can keep your private insurance if you have it, or you can choose a Medicare-like option. We're going to increase subsidies to lower your premiums and deductibles, out-of-pocket spending, surprise billings. How are you going to do that? Because Trump and his buddies are going to pay more taxes so you don't have to do more. And we're going to reduce, if it didn't sound so strange, I wouldn't even explain. You're going to reduce prescription drug costs by 60%. You know how? By making sure Medicare can negotiate with the insurance companies for the cost of drugs. We're going to make sure you keep the protections for pre-existing conditions. Meanwhile, you know, these guys are for real, unfortunately. Meanwhile, Trump's announced what he'll do if he gets reelected with regard to Social Security. The actuary at Social Security has said, if Trump were elected and gets past what he wants, it will bankrupt Social Security by 2023. Now, y'all may think I'm making it up, but just like I said, when Paul Ryan was the Speaker of the House, I said they're going to cut Medicare, I should say. And everybody looked, no. They tried to cut it by $5 billion right off the bat. Folks, these guys are serious. They've never fully supported these programs. I'll protect Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. You have my word on it. But folks, as we used to say in the Senate, if you excuse a point of personal privilege, there's nothing that has made me more angry about this president than the way he's spoken about those of you who've served in uniform. Losers and suckers referred to you. Our son, Bo, his 2 children are with me tonight. He gave up his job as Attorney General to volunteer to go to Iraq for a year. He won the Bronze Star, the Conspicuous Service Medal. He came home with brain cancer. And guess what? He wasn't a sucker, he was a patriot. Like all of your sons and daughters. It angers the hell out of me, the way he talks about our veterans. Your parents, your grandparents, all have served. To the best of my knowledge, he's the first president of the United States who had 6 generals and admirals who worked in his administration, who have since left, and said he was unfit to be commander-in-chief. Folks, that's why General Stanley McChrystal, the former commander of Special Operations, oversaw the bin Laden raid, Admiral Bill McCraven, and 22 other 4-stars endorsed me because they know I'll have their back. It's not happened before. Trump likes to portray himself as a tough guy, the macho man. Wouldn't you like to have a shot? Anyway, the macho man. When's the last time, and he says people listening because he's tough around the world. When's the last time you ever heard of a president of the United States literally being laughed at out loud by world leaders when he spoke at the United Nations? So much for listening to him. When's the last time a president of the United States met with the NATO leaders at the NATO summit, other world leaders, chancellors, presidents, prime ministers? And before they realized it, they were all making fun of him as he left the room. Folks, and can you believe we're a president who acts like Vladimir Putin's puppy? Putin had put bounties on the heads of American soldiers in Afghanistan, where I've been to many times. It's a rough area, man. But Trump has talked to him 6 times since then, and he's been frightened to say or challenge him at all. Donald Trump isn't strong, he's weak. This is a president who not only doesn't understand sacrifice, doesn't understand courage, physical courage it takes to be in uniform? Folks, we're going to support our military. They're the backbone and spine of this country. And folks, we have to vote to meet the challenge of climate crisis. Donald Trump calls it a hoax. I call it about our health and the ability to create millions of good-paying jobs right here in Western Pennsylvania. We can combat climate change with American ingenuity and manufacturing, creating millions of new high-paying union jobs. Let me be clear. I will not ban fracking in Pennsylvania. I'll protect those jobs, period, no matter what Donald Trump says. But I tell you what, I will no longer fund oil companies with subsidies, period. Folks, we have to restore the backbone of this country, but we also have to unify it. Look, we're going to act to deliver racial justice in America. Protesting is not burning and looting. The violence will not be tolerated. But the protesters, a cry for justice. The names of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, Jacob Blake, Walter Wallace, they're not going to be soon forgotten by me, not by anyone in this country. And they're going to inspire a new wave of justice in America. When I met with Floyd's family, when I went down to Texas, he has a little daughter, 6 years old. And I was in the room and I knelt down to talk to her. She looked at me and said, "Mr. Vice President," she said, "my daddy is going to change America. My daddy is going to change America." Well, guess what? We also know that the American people realize we got to change. But we also know that justice isn't just about criminal justice. It's about knowing that true justice is about jobs, building wealth for your families. No one should be working 2 jobs to stay in poverty. We need a minimum of $15 an hour minimum wage. And for people struggling, first-term home buyers, they're going to get a $15,000 tax credit from me. We're going to provide capital for young entrepreneurs to start small businesses, provide free community college, which, by the way, costs a lot of money, $6 billion a year. We spend about that much money giving breaks on for racehorses. Yeah. Folks, as well as free tuition for students attending state universities if they come from families making less than 125 grand. Folks, we can do this, Pennsylvania. In 2008 and 2012, you placed your trust in me and Barack. In 2020, I'm asking and seeking your trust again. I take nothing for granted. This is a battle for the soul of America. We have to win this. We have to win this together. Bring the country together. I'm proud of the coalition this campaign has built, welcoming Democrats and Republicans and independents. I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president. There will be no red states and blue states. There will be the United States of America. I promise you, I'll work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do. That's the job of a president. The duty to care for everyone, the duty to heal. That's the president's job. So please vote. If you still have your absentee ballot, get it to a drop box as soon as you can, or vote tomorrow in person. Just make a plan and help get out the vote. The power is in your hands, Pennsylvania. And here's the amazing thing. Here's the amazing thing about this moment in our history. The character of the country is on the ballot. On the one hand, we're facing the biggest threats to who we are and what we believe that we've seen in our lifetimes. But on the other hand, our future has never been more promising. I've said it many times. I'm more optimistic about America's future today than I was when I got invited and got elected as a 29-year-old kid. And here's why. We're better positioned than any nation in the world to lead the 21st century. In fact, our workers are 3 times as productive. We have the biggest economy in the world, the strongest military in the history of the world, the most innovative entrepreneurs. We're virtually energy independent, and we have more great research universities out of which every major new change has come than all the rest of the world combined, literally. No nation in the world can match us. We lead by the power of our example, not just the example of our power. The only thing that can tear America apart is America itself. No one else can challenge us. And that's exactly what Donald Trump has been doing from the beginning of this campaign, dividing America, tearing us apart, pitting Americans against one another based on our race, our gender, our ethnicity, our religion. It's wrong. That's not who we are. And folks, everybody knows who Donald Trump is. Let's keep showing them who we are. We choose hope over fear. We choose unity over division. We choose science over fiction. And yes, we choose truth over lie after lie after lie. Folks, it's time to stand up and take back our democracy. We can do this. We can be better than what we've been. We can be who we are at our best. The United States of America. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Got to make